A quick reminder of the documents that we have in our collection. db.residence.find will return to us all the documents in our collection, and I want to introduce something .pretty. Now I know pretty is pretty new to us because we haven't used it before, but I want to tell you pretty, just as the name suggests, it will tell MongoDB before you return to us our documents, please format them to look pretty, okay? Now think of pretty as pretty much doing only that, making our documents, formatting them to look okay. Now press enter. This is the shape of documents that we are having. Look at this. We have ID, name, email, age 30. Now we have a scenario, or we have a case where Charlie is telling you, you know what, my name is not Charlie Davis, my name is Charlie David, and therefore you have to update my name from Charlie Davis to Charlie David. Now how am I going to do this? To do this, I need to update it. Now MongoDB provides you with a method called update1 and update_many. Update1 is used to update a single document, and since we only want to update Charlie Davis to Charlie David, we need to use update1. Now update1 accepts 2 arguments or 3 arguments. 3 arguments is rarely used, but it has a use case. In most cases, you will use only 2 arguments. Now let's write down the method itself. db, then the collection name, which is residence dot update1, because we are only updating one document. Open that. Now we want to pass the arguments, and I mentioned the first argument is the filter object. Now the filter object will tell us the document that we want to, it will find and locate the document that we want to update. And in this case, I want us to choose the email as the filter object. Why? Because I'm assuming email is unique for every document. Now copy that, and remember it's an object, so open a curly brace and then now paste that object here and then close. Now that is the first argument that we are passing to our update1 method, simply scanning through the documents and finding the document that has the email as charlie.davis@example.com. And then we have the second argument, pass a comma, and then let's open the object. The second argument is the update document, which means we want now to pass it the new values of the name and the value, which is name and Charlie David. Now before you pass that, you have to tell it to set. This is an operator. Set. Then what do you want to set? We want to set the name from Charlie Davis to Charlie David. Copy this, copy that, and then paste it right here. But remember, we are setting the name from Charlie Davis to Charlie David, so I'll replace the S with a D. And then let's close the second argument and then close it again and then close our method, then press enter. What do we get? Acknowledged is true. Inserted ID is null because we are simply updating. Matched count 1. Matched count means our query only matched one document because we are using an email which is very unique. And then modified count, only one document was modified. Updated count is 0, which means we didn't add any new field. Now let's do the find again to see if our name was indeed changed from Charlie Davis to Charlie David. Fantastic. Now look, we have the name is now Charlie David. That is okay. Now, a second scenario is where we are using a filter object which is not unique. For example, look here, we have this document to be, the email is alicejohnson@example.com, but again up here we have another one, alicejohnson@example.com. Let's see what update1 will do in this case. What we will do is to use the same method, db.residence.update1. Now the filter object is still the email. Now we want to pick this email because it's not unique. Copy that and then paste it right here. And then close that filter object. Then we pass the second argument, which is the update document. Update document must accept the set operator and then the new key value pair. So open the object, then we are using the set operator, and then now the update document. So here, what do we want to update? We want to update the name from Alice Johnson. Of course, here it's also Alice Johnson, but to something else, which is Johnson and Johnson. So let's do that. Name should now be Johnson and Johnson. Then close that, and then we close the set operator. Now remember here, we have two documents with the same matching pattern, where the email is alice.johnson@example.com. But let's see if it will update the 2 or 1. Remember, we are using the update 1 method. So press enter. See what happens. We have acknowledged true, inserted is null, matched count is 1, modified count is 1, updated count is 0. Why? Because update 1, just like find 1, will only update the first document that it encounters when scanning your collection. In that case, we expect that it will only update the first Johnson & Johnson or Alice Johnson that we had in our collection. So let's find out again what we have. Good. See what happens here. We have the name modified to Johnson & Johnson, but the last one is still Alice Johnson. Okay, fine. What if we want to update all the alice.johnson@example.com? We have email to be alice.johnson@example.com. Up here, it's also alice.johnson@example.com. Now we want to update their names in both cases. How do we do that? Because we are targeting more than one document, we don't use update one. Instead, we use update many. db.residence.update many. Okay. In fact, there's no need of typing this. I can just press the up arrow to give us the previous command. But now, instead of having update one, I want us to update many. Remove one, replace with many. Now, what do we expect? We expect that this one will update the two documents where the email is alicejohnson@example.com. And our new update document, I want to give it something different. The name should be Osego Codes now. Now let's remove the Johnson & Johnson and just type Osego Codes. Press enter. Now see the difference. Now we get acknowledged is true, inserted IDs is null, matched count is 2 because we have used update many. Then modified count is 2 because we indeed have two documents updated. Updated count is 0. Now let's find the documents again. See what happens now. We have alice.johnson@example.com and the name is Osego Codes. Coming up here, we also have alice.johnson@example.com and the name is Osego Codes. Now we've already learned update 1 and update many. And I've mentioned update 1 and update many accepts 2 arguments or 3 arguments. And we've seen the cases where we have 2 arguments, where the first argument is the object filter and the second argument is the object of the update document. Now let's introduce the third argument, which is upsert. Now what does upsert do? Upsert will update your document, but if you send to it a new field that is not in the document, it will add it here. Let's take a good example. Let's use Charlie David. Charlie David only has the ID, the name, the email, the age, the city, and is active. What if I want to also add a new field here? Let's say country to be Jamaica or Panama. How do we do that? In fact, let's not use Charlie David. Let's use Alice Johnson because we have 2 Alice Johnson. Now we have Alice Johnson here having only city is active age. Now we want to introduce country. Let's look up here also. We have Alice Johnson. We don't have a country field here. Okay. How do we do that? I'll come and just recall the method that we used, or I can start this from afresh to make things clear. So how do we do that? db.residence.update many. And then the filter object, we want to update where the email is alicejohnson.example.com. Copy that. Copy. Come here. Paste. And that is our first argument. The second argument is the update document. The update document says we want to upset the country set. What are we setting? We want to set the country to a value of Panama. Close that. Now let's introduce the third argument, which tells it, okay, in those documents that we're targeting, if you don't have the country field, then please insert it. How is that possible? Let's see how that's possible. You open another argument, open the object, and then use this operator, upsert. $upsert. And then the value should be true. And then let's close our method. Going over this query again, this one tells that we want to update many, but in that document, if you're not having the field country, then please insert it. Okay, now let's press enter. What do we have? We have acknowledged true, inserted null, matched count is 2, modified count is 2, upserted count is 0. Let's find query again to see if that is indeed correct. Good. Now we have country to be Panama, and then we have up here also country to be Panama. Good. Another scenario is where we want to update all documents. Okay, we'll still use update many, but remember, since we are updating all documents, we are not going to pass like a filter object. We still have to pass it, but it should be empty. So let's take a scenario where we want to update is active to be false for everything. So here it is true, here it is false, here it is true, and here it's true. Now I want it to be true, here is false. Now I want us to update all the documents to have is active to false. Is active to false. How do we do that? db.residence dot update many, and then now the filter object should be empty. Okay, and then we want to set, what are we setting? The setting is active to false, which means we are changing all the active values to false. So close that. Set is active. Where are we having that here? Okay, setting is active to false. And then let's close what our method has to give us. So we have update many. Empty filter object means we are updating everything. Then we are setting the is active field to false. Then press enter. We have a problem here. Yeah, we need to close it twice. Good. Press enter. Fantastic. So here, what do we have? Acknowledged true. Inserted ID is null. Matched count 5. Modified count 3. Updated count 0. Now let's verify that all our documents have the value to false. So let's fetch. So we have false, 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 which means we are okay. Now, thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the upcoming videos. Osego Codes signing out.